Can you blame me for wanting more than just a hit or miss? I know we stand for something, but we'll just have to wait for them. What is going on, everyone? Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. We've got a great space for you. Make sure, go ahead, hit that like, share the space out. Let's get this space full. Get some more people in here. We'll be starting in about 1 minute. Talk soon. Okay, let's get this going. Again, thanks for joining us today, everyone. We've got a great space for you today on this Tuesday. I've already got a great panel up here of speakers, which we'll introduce in just a second. And for those of you that have been following, this space kind of came up from a discussion we were having on Twitter. And it's, I don't want to say it didn't go anywhere, but it got a little maybe heated. And I want to start off by, first off, apologizing because that conversation definitely went in a direction that it shouldn't have. And if I might have said anything to how it sounded maybe that I don't appreciate any of the work anyone is doing regarding safety and helping make this Web3 space better, I apologize. That was certainly not my request, because the work everyone is doing here is amazing. And we just want to kind of talk around everything that's going on and maybe even help provide a little bit more education and direction on how some think that this could be done better. So that's kind of the direction of this space. And we've got a couple more coming on up. So again, thanks for joining us, everyone. I know, Robert, you're kind of on a time crunch today, right?
Yeah. I would love to. I would love to stay more, but I can stay only like 25 minutes from now.
Okay, got it. So why don't we, since you're here and we're not sure when you have to take off, or about 25 minutes or so, why don't we jump right into, you're announcing, you've got something big you're announcing today, the final word of the EGLD heist seed phrase. So I don't know if Matt or Drew's here and wanted to introduce that, or if they just gave you the go ahead and do it.
I have the go ahead to do it. I don't know necessarily how to put it in such a way, but if Matt wants to say something first, then let's have Matt, as I see that he's joined the speaker, and then I will announce it.
Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Thanks so much. I'll just take a moment. For those that don't know, essentially EGLD heist was the idea that Drew from Ape Staking had put together to, piggyback the efforts of the team to leak a seed phrase. I believe, if I remember correctly, that was on the testnet, though. This one's live. For the hacking, we've been releasing words and trying to get the attention, to get the word out about the security initiatives and tech that we have here on Multiverse X. And so with the amazing support of the community and some collaboration and conversations along the way, big shout out to Crypto Shields, also leaked some of these keywords. We're down to one word left, and Robert has that. And Robert, thank you so much. We're thrilled to be doing that. It's been fun. We've learned a lot along the way, identified some things, and just trying to strive for continuous improvement and making this a safer space for all, and building trust and transparency and everything like that. So Robert, I suppose, because I don't want to take up too much time, we've got a lot to cover today. I'll just hand it over to you, and you do your thing, brother. Thank you.
So I pretty much like all these kind of ideas that came up from the community, and they do their job. And EGLD heist was such a great thing. And the Multiverse X actually puts the shine in the blockchain space. So that will be your final word, being shine. Most probably I will make a tweet in a few hours about that, or tomorrow morning, just to be sure of it. But if we talk a little bit about security, the thing is that we were among those teams who actually managed to first get a massive amount of non-crypto people into the space, especially with the launch of, at that time, Maya wallet. And I will speak about like how Guardians came up as an idea. And then people installed Maya wallet and a lot of people came. No Twitter, people didn't know about anything. They saw only a few podcasts about Benny, and then installed the app and started to stake and buy EGLD and stake. That was the most of them, that's what they did. And they were started to lose their funds and their seed phrases because they clicked into stupid sites which had like the title of validate your account, validate I don't know what, validate something. And there are a lot of scammers here and there. Then we had to do something about this. First, as an engineer, you say, oh, come on, it's not possible. People cannot be so, let's say, unknowledgeable that they just put their seed phrases on in sites. No, this is wrong. People have to learn and have to learn. After that, the Maya team have put like 5 different screens, and the last screen was that you had to select words in an order, and the words were saying in every language that if I share my secret phrase, I will lose my money. And only after doing that, people could see their seed phrases. And still, people were putting their seed phrases into sites like validate your account. And we have to, let's say, as an engineer, you have to get down from your high horses, because not everybody is, not everybody learned 10 years of programming and then X years of actually doing programming. But majority of the people they didn't do at all programming. They just have a phone, they install a few apps, they use those apps, and that's it. And they do have other things. And when you meet people actually which are not in the bubble of technology people, then you will see that people are even sharing their credit cards details in Facebook. People are sharing their own PIN codes in Facebook. And that's the reality. And we cannot, like the blockchain space, we cannot say that no, everybody who comes to Web3 have to educate themselves and learn about that. No, I think that's not scalable. And that's why guardians have came into the into development. And the guardians are actually multi-signature at the most basic level, like the most downwards level, directly on the protocol and directly at the transaction level. So once a guardian is activated, in case of Multiverse X, you have your accounts are smart accounts by default. You will have in your account, you have your own Patricia Merkle tree, so your own database, and there you have under a protected key, you have the address of your own guardian. This address of your own guardian, the public key, can be changed only by built-in functions, and then when the guardian is put into it, every transaction you post into it, you want to make any execution, it has to be co-signed by you and the guardian. So that's most basic level and the protocol. Then this kind of thing can be implemented differently in the front end and how people use it. One of such thing is to use 2FA services, professional 2FA services. So the 2FA service will have the guardian key, and you have your own key. Or you can implement it with invisible guardians, which is, let's say, one of the default ways to do it in Xportal. In that sense, a secondary private key is saved into your own device, into your own iPhone, and it stays only there. And the user doesn't have access to it. Nobody has access to it. Only the internal Xportal app has access to it. And when you switch phones, then you have to activate a new Guardian, which takes 20 days to be activated. And people are actually, and let's say one of those cases when EGLD heist is it, that you share your public key, your private key publicly, all the 24 words, and the attacker gets into it, the only thing he could do is set a new guardian. But setting a new guardian, it takes in effect 20 days. And until those 20 days are off, you have time to move your funds to a new address by co-signing with both of the keys. So that's, and doing this kind of guardians things, we have 99% of the cases where people were losing their seed phrases, not losing, sharing their seed phrases. 99% of those cases have simply disappeared. And before that, we had daily, like we had a report of how many daily report of how many users have lost their seed phrases from our support team. And then after the activation, this went down 99%. And that's simply an amazing thing for users to have this kind of security. That's like about guardians. And for myself as an engineer, first I have to get down from my high horses and see what and how the apps are used by the users and what kind of knowledge they have, then to create a system in where even without security knowledge they can enjoy it. So that's the story of the guardians.
Awesome. So yeah, let's kind of take a step back too and go back to the beginning. But yeah, that was a great overview of what guardians are and the EGLD heist that is pinned up top, and that the 24th seed phrase or seed word was just launched. So anyone wants to go ahead and take a crack at it, there's funds in there. I don't know, Matt can probably tell you how much at this point, but the wallet keeps growing. But it's to basically show the security around guardians. But we want to take a step back because this entire conversation started regarding different type of asset structures. And I forget exactly which post it was, but Crypto Shields and I, we chat frequently. And it was a post that we both put up. And as usual, we kind of have different approaches to it. Mine is usually along the lines of pointing out how the industry is, or the tech is very flawed, and we need to realize that and move past it. And his, being a security professional, is to educate people on how they can avoid it. So we go back and forth on that a lot. And then the discussion turned into something completely different that it shouldn't have, where names were called, and I forget exactly, but it wasn't professional. And here we are now to kind of go over the structure of these different assets. And this is also for educational purposes too, because I think there's still a lot of lack of knowledge on the differences between smart contract based assets and an asset oriented type structure that a lot of the newer blockchains use, and some of the older ones as well, and why they have very beneficial security features with them. Go ahead, Robert. You can add to this probably.
Yeah, I would start with one of the things. I completely get that what the security guys and those who want to educate on Ethereum they are doing. So Crypto Shield, Revoke app, and there are some scam sniffer and all the others. In the case of Ethereum, the only thing they could do is educate those people who got into Ethereum. And that's quite sad in one sense, because let's say Ethereum doesn't want to change. Like today, I got a realization that if Ethereum would have like a team who is pushing continuous changes, SEC might, the US SEC might attack Ethereum even further and even more, because that's how SEC sees the things. And from my perspective, that's pretty bad how SEC sees the teams, but that's their job. But and if even then, it should be what the only thing I don't necessarily like is that where people blame the users. Don't do that, because they don't necessarily are users, they are actually investors. And in Web 2 you have a much better life. I just buy something, the DP from Amazon, somebody loses my package, I just write to Amazon and I get my package back, and I am not a shareholder for Amazon. Same with banks. I own a card, somebody steals it, they can revert my transactions and stuff like that, and I am not a shareholder of that bank. So I do want to see better apps, better front ends for all the users, I think that those people from Ethereum, from the security side of Ethereum, they do what they can most. That's education, because the chain is not going to be changed. As we see, ERCs are not going to be changed. And from an engineering point of view, this is quite sad. Actually, in the weekend, I've been with runtime verification, who are big auditors, and other auditors in Bucharest in a blockchain conference, and there was one common thing: ERC tokens as they exist right now shouldn't at all exist. That was like the common talk from auditors. But 2 weeks ago we had a talk with Cardano, and Radix was here, and then uh, Charles have said that sometimes you have to work with the language as it is, the tokens as it is, and stuff as it is. So in that sense, the security guys do what they can do the best. And in that sense, just to put it out like really directly, what can be done is building an actual scalable L2 on Ethereum with the sovereign chain SDK, with EVM, but which is secure, like definitely secure, because you can combine actually the native assets with ERCs, and then you don't need, from the user perspective, you can do multi-calls, atomic multi-calls, and in that way, people would somehow simulate, transfer, and execute. It would cost more gas, because you would do wrap from ESDT to ERC tokens, approve for multiple tokens you want to execute, then execute, then revoke for the all. It costs a little bit more gas, but actually you can make it safer for the users. So I see that somehow a way to go forward in case of we have to live in the, let's say, in the era of Ethereum. But what's fun right now is that the flippening is happening from EVM to Rust-based development, so which is actually a good thing, because there are a lot of Rust-based SDKs, and then this might bring a new type of thinking on the crypto side. But the liquidity is still in Ethereum, so we still need to be somewhat connected. And if we are connected, then let's do it the proper way.
Yeah. Well said. And yeah, to do both things. And I guess that's what I was kind of trying to mention too in the conversation the other day, that we can educate them on how to be safer now, but then if we're missing the big piece of educating them on why they need to move or they need to take another route at some point, then we're missing a big part of the picture. So, but I really want to, as you see, we have an amazing panel up here. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining. If you do want to come up, please raise your hand, just like Crypto Shields is doing right now. I'm going to send it over to you in just a second, Crypto Shields. And wanted to start off with a tiny bit of education for those that may not be aware of how the smart contract-based ERC20 or ERC assets work. And I just posted it, pinned it up top, and I found this I think yesterday, and I thought it was a pretty brilliant definition. So I'm just going to read it real quick too. It's for these ERC tokens and how they operate. Basically, a token is just a row in the ledger of a particular contract with standardized entry points that hopefully behave nicely. We'll call it the token contract. So if you want to trade a token, you need to interact with the token contract. The same goes for exchanges, marketplaces. The rest doesn't really need to be read there. And the reason why this is different is because it's not an actual token. You are dealing with a smart contract as a middleman at all times. And you own a token only in the sense that this particular contract has you on the record in the ledger. The token's not in your wallet. Rather, your wallet asks the token contract which tokens you have. You don't send the token, you ask the token contract to do all that for you. And that's where all the security risks and issues come into play, and everything that has been solved by having these native assets and the asset-oriented structure. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. Like I said, now we're going to open up the floor to all of our speakers here. And we do have a great group up here, very, very knowledgeable people that I've been following, and they put out great content. So Crypto Shields, we're going to send it over to you, as I know you had your hand up. And after that, anyone else, feel free to raise your hand and we'll jump from there.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much for having this space, man. I know we've been going back and forth for a long time about this, and I appreciate that you apologize, because the other day it went south very fast. And thank you, Robert, for all the explanations. Man, I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. First of all, the first question I had, and the fact that you introduced the ledger concept, the native assets concept earlier, the text you just read, like most people in the space, most users have no idea what it is, all those native assets, EVM versus non-EVM. And it's one word you keep on coming back. You keep on using all the time, native assets. And from the text you just read, it says that, okay, the token that is not in your wallet. So I'm pretty sure like most people should know that, because as far as we know, the token is, if we're talking about an NFT, is either hosted on IPFS somewhere, and it's just tagged to your specific wallet address within the smart contract itself. But so what I would like you to explain to people in the space, and like maybe like people who have no idea what you're talking about, what is the difference? What do you mean when you say native assets? Because as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, we do not have that on ERC20, but you say that you have it on Multiverse X and eGold. Not eGold, on Multiverse X. So can you please explain what you mean by native assets?
I will take this because I will have to leave after this, and then I will leave all the discussions. So on Ethereum, there is one native asset, which is ETH. The ETH as asset, it stays in your account, meaning if you look at the Patricia Merkle tree, and if you look at the key on the tree where you have the key, your account, you have the balance field, and that balance field is ETH. And we can check all the tweets, and in general, people will not get wallet drained by ETH because you don't have a proof function, permit function, increase allowance for ETH. So there is no, you can lose your ETH by leaking your private key, but you cannot be wallet drained in this sense. If you want to do anything with ETH, you will actually transfer and execute. So when you want to stake ETH into the staking contract of ETH, you actually transfer and execute. It's an atomic execution for the sum of the ETH you wanted. So if you wanted to send 10 ETH out of 1,000 you have, you will make transfer and execute for only 10 ETH. The difference in case of ERC contracts is that ERC contracts can be thought as third-party deposits, where all the funds are in that contract space. In that contract space, under that contract, you have your own address and you have your own funds. But when you want for the ERC token, your ERC token to interact with another application, you don't do transfer and execute as you would do with ETH, but you first give approval for the application where you want to use the ERC token, then you do the execution directly on that application. And because the application received approval from you, they can get money out of the smart contract, or out of the ERC20 token. If we make a parallel of how this works, would work, like for example, in a physical world, it's like I go to a market, then I for example, I have my funds with me, but I give the keys to my funds to the cashier from that market to take money out of my third-party deposit box. Or like, imagine that when you wanted to buy something from Amazon, first you would need to sign an approval function that Amazon can take money out of my account, and only after that paying for what Amazon wants for you to pay. Instead of, so this is ERC20, but in case of native assets, everything is transfer and execute. And in case of Multiverse 6, all the accounts are smart accounts, and all the balances of every token, being it fungible, non-fungible, semi-fungible, financial tokens, are under your account, and nobody else can access those but you. And how the only function you can access those is by transfer and execute. So, and it might be only a subtle difference, but from a user perspective and a wallet perspective, it is completely different for a wallet, for a user to see an approval function to be signed, or a permit function to be signed, or increase allowance to be signed, versus to sign that, okay, I clicked in a free NFT link from Google, and the free NFT link, in case of ERC tokens, they will say that, okay, increase allowance or permit to, or stuff like that. And you will not know what to do as a user. But when you have native assets, for example, with ETH, it would appear, okay, you can claim this. The wallet would say, so you had a link with free NFT, and now the wallet wants you to send 1 ETH to some kind of address in order for you to receive that free NFT. That's the moment where you will say, no, I will not want to send my ETH to receive a free NFT, because that's not free, that's a scam. So that might be a subtle difference, but it makes the whole space much safer. And if we think about composability and about developers, it makes their life easier as well. I hope I managed to explain it well.
Yes, definitely makes sense. Thank you very much for the explanation.
And let me add something real quick to that, if I could. And
sorry, I will have to leave. Have a fun night tonight. I will re-listen to it and may come up with. If you don't have some answer to some things, we can get back to a space like this in a couple of weeks.
Definitely. Thank you, Robert.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you
on,
very
Robert.
much. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. So yeah, no, hopefully that was clear. Great explanation of the technicals and how they work. And I wanted to add real quick before, if we have any other questions, by the way, go ahead, toss them in the comments or come on up and raise your hand. But one of the easiest ways I had it explained to me previously is if you think of native assets as they're actually tokens. Like think of you have your wallet in your back pocket, and you have a dollar bill that you can put in your wallet. Now that's not being completely literal. They're not like, they don't function like that, but that's how they can be looked at in the blockchain space compared to the ERC smart contract-based assets, which are completely bound by a smart contract that is, just think of the smart contract out in the web. And your data or a hash of what you own is part of this smart contract. So a perfect example someone presented to me is, say you create a new MetaMask wallet and you put in your seed phrase. Have you ever wondered why sometimes all your NFTs just don't show up and you can't view them all? The reason why is because what the wallet does is it pings the blockchain saying, what does this person have claim to? And then it looks for it, and then it basically just shows the representation of them in your wallet. But that's just because they're all part of these smart contracts that are all out on the blockchain. So they don't function the same as tokens. And these smart contracts can obviously have issues. And when you're dealing with smart contracts, you're also susceptible to many other issues as well. So that's some of the stuff we'll get into today. I think, let's see, we've got another request. No. Have any questions or anything you want to add? We've got a lot of speakers here. I'm sure someone's got something they want to say or add.
Yeah, much more questions. I really wish Robert stuck around, but
we've got some very, very intelligent people here. Miko has written some great posts on this and explained it very, very well. He's very technical. We've got Classic here, who has his he did his master's thesis or undergraduate thesis recently in security. So he is very, very intelligent in this stuff as well. So any questions you have, I'm guessing someone here on the panel can probably answer.
Yeah, that's super cool. But the question was exactly regarding those. It was the next phase of my question regarding the native assets and everything, because I think there was another back and forth between you or someone else and for Altered Beast, one of our guys in the security crew, regarding the approvals, because we do know that for ERC tokens, like it requires approval to move the tokens from your wallet to like a marketplace or something like that. And the fact that we have open approvals on our tokens is just to, and the reason why people are getting drained, like everything of all their tokens are getting drained at the same time, is because most of the time they end up keeping everything they own in one wallet. And that's what we've been telling them not to do. Do not keep all your assets in one wallet, because let's say you have a collection, you have like 20 Bored Apes, and you keep them in one wallet and you list one of them on OpenSea and you end up signing a wrong transaction, you will lose all of them because the approval goes by on all the collection. So the question is, the other day I was reading, I don't know if it was you or someone else, and I think that's where the discussion came from. In order for a native asset or a token in Multiverse X to be listed, I think they told me that it's supposed to be transferred from your wallet to the marketplace, not given approval. It's supposed to be transferred. So technically, like what my buddy was saying, it was an escrow service, and you guys said no, it's not an escrow service. But technically, if it's transferred from your wallet, from my wallet, to the marketplace, and that marketplace, let's say it was a fake one, technically I'm losing my assets.
Yeah, no,
So,
I definitely, I remember the part of the conversation you're talking about too, for sure. So I can speak to that a little bit, and if Classic or Miko want to jump in. But yeah, the escrow, he's kind of right in a way. The thing is, I think the discussion was around whether that's centralized or decentralized. And let's look at one of the main marketplaces, for example, XOXNO, NFT marketplaces. So in order to list an NFT, you do have to send that NFT to this smart contract. But it is a decentralized, secure, audited smart contract that XOXNO doesn't have ability to alter or like steal your NFT. It's a decentralized escrow contract that just functions based off of specific parameters. For example, I list an NFT for 1 EGLD, and so I send the NFT to this smart contract. And the only option to this point is for someone to pay 1 EGLD and then the transfer happens, or for me to revoke to pull it back, and I could take it back into my wallet. Nothing else could ever happen to it. No one can steal it from this smart contract. And obviously, I don't want to say nothing can ever happen. Things can always happen with smart contracts, but it is a secure and audited smart contract that facilitates this service in a decentralized manner. So I think that's what he was questioning, whether or not like the marketplace or DEX or whatever could steal your assets, which no, that's not the case. Classic can add to this probably. Go ahead, Classic. And then we'll send it over to NFT Drew. Thanks for being patient.
Basically, when I first heard this argument that the Multiverse X NFT smart contracts are inherently insecure because they are functioning like an escrow contract, I was like, okay, maybe. And then I thought for like more than a second, and I realized, hey, wait a second. Basically, Ethereum contracts do the exact same, don't they? I mean, yeah, you have the approval function, of course, and the NFT remains quote unquote in your wallet, even though in reality the NFT is just the smart contract and there is no actual token in your wallet. Anyways, I will ignore that point. I will ignore that because it's not the point of the discussion. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, even though the NFT remains basically in your wallet on Ethereum, you still approve the transfer of the NFT at any time. There is no difference if the NFT is already at the contract, aka at the marketplace contract, or if it can be transferred at any given second in the next few months or whenever how long it is listed. I mean, how is it different if I can transfer it at any given time versus it is already at the contract? In both cases, I have to trust the marketplace contract not to do any bullshit. In both cases, I have to trust the contract to not get hacked or anything similar. And then I have seen the counter argument. Yeah, but what if the contract gets hacked? I can, or if the marketplace goes down, I can withdraw my NFT, or I can just revoke my approval. And yeah, sure, you can do that. And you can do the same thing on Multiverse X. The contract is still there, even if the website goes down. You can just withdraw the NFT. In fact, the other marketplaces on Multiverse X all have embedded each other. So, for example, if you go onto Frameit, you will see the NFT listings from XO, XNO, and so forth. And you can withdraw from there as well. They have all embedded each other, basically, which is really nice from a user experience perspective, because every marketplace that exists on Multiverse X so far is basically also a marketplace aggregator. Anyways, what I'm just trying to say here is, if you are going to argue that the Multiverse X contract is an escrow contract, then the smart contracts on Ethereum are, also an escrow contract. It doesn't matter if the NFT is already at the contract or not. In both cases, you can lose it if the contract gets hacked or anything. In one case, the NFT is at the contract. In one case, it can be transferred at any given time. Realistically, how is it different? That's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. And so far, nobody has really explained to me how it is different in a meaningful way. Thank you.
So I know Crypto Shield, he dropped for a second there. He was on PC, he's on mobile now. This is recorded, though, for everyone that wants to go back and listen. We have some hands up here, though. And first, I know NFT Drew, you had your hand up first. Is your kind of topic or question along the same lines, or is it a new topic? I just want to make sure we're staying on this and finishing it before.
Yeah, it was actually directly related to that.
Perfect. Go ahead.
And I guess classic and to everyone up here, and I guess kind of what I've been trying to understand too, especially from the Multiverse X side, is there isn't a difference, right? Like that's what I'm trying to understand. Like even Vitalik himself, right? A famous line of his that he said at Consensus years ago is an L1 or a blockchain can have two of the three. There's absolutely no way it can have three of three, which is scalability, decentralization, and security. Right? From like an L1 perspective. That's just how blockchains work. It can't have three of three. There's always something, there's a balance to it, right? Which is why EVMs or L2s, blah, blah, they make up for the other part. So to Classic, to your point, and what I'm trying to understand is, I don't think there is a difference because on Ethereum and EVMs, you have an approval. The approval is per token or per NFT to going to said marketplace wallet. And if you sign something, okay, great. Then everything in that collection can be taken. From the multiverse side, if we are going to call it an escrow, for lack of better terms, if I go ahead and, send it to an escrow or something happens to escrow contract or, other kind of social engineering parameters, someone, dupes me into sending to the wrong escrow contract or, social engineering, I send it to the wrong address, blah, blah, whatever, right? There's still the same security flaws on each side. So I guess from the multiverse side, because I think, what y'all have heavily been saying is that it's so much more secure. Like, where does the more secure come into play in that scenario?
Sure. The additional security is probably, I have to admit, less noticeable on NFTs, but it is still there on NFTs. Why? Well, do you know what you are signing on Ethereum when you sign an approval transaction? I mean, yes, of course, there are nowadays some wallets that are interpreting this for you. That kind of try to show you, okay, yeah, you're about to sign this, you're about to sign that. This has the following implications. Are you sure you want to approve that? But the issue is that, of course, for one, many wallets don't do that still, and most prominently MetaMask doesn't really do that. It's not really understandable, and the most important issue is understandability. I mean, we all want crypto mass adoption, but we all want crypto mass adoption, right? I think we all want that, right? How can we expect to explain to a billion people what an approval is and why they have to use multiple different wallets, and that they cannot forget to revoke that approval once they're done? Let's say the NFT is at the marketplace for 4 months because it takes that long to find a buyer. Do you remember after 4 months to revoke the approval? Do you regularly check your approvals? I mean, drains happen every day. And yeah, as I said, the advantages are probably a little less with the NFT side because you approve just one NFT or you approve just one collection maybe. But especially for tokens and swaps, the approval situation is much more severe.
But for tokens on ETH and ERC20s, you can have time expiration.
Yeah, that is quite new. That is a new addition. I have seen that, but it still doesn't really change the thing because most DEXs nowadays still use, as far as I'm aware, the normal approvals, not the time-based approvals, which are relatively new. And they, furthermore, usually have something like the infinite approval stuff. I know a friend of mine who tried to swap something on Uniswap, and I mean, it worked out. It worked out, of course. But he asked me, dude, what is this? Does that mean I can send unlimited tokens and whatnot? And I had to explain to him, no, that's not what that means. And I mean, we see every day, and that's basically really the main point. We see every single day that many people are drained from these approvals, even though they are time based. This can still happen, and it's really just an inherent issue of the system.
I agree. Yeah, and trust me, I'm definitely not, like, oh, Ethereum's so much better. I'm glad mass adoption is not here. I'm glad it's not, right? Like, we have a lot of ways to go, and I think across the board in general. But I guess I'm still not just understanding, like your argument there is approvals. I mean, and an adoption and understanding to go revoke. I mean, wouldn't that still be the same kind of fundamental reminders, knowledge, understanding of sending and withdrawing from an escrow contract, if we're calling it that?
Yeah, let me speak directly to your question too and give you an example. So your ape it's part of a contract, a smart contract, and there's 10,000 of them. Say you own 10 of them. If you want to list your ape on a marketplace, you have to give approval to give that smart contract ability, which usually is all of your apes. On native asset or these other chains we're discussing, if I want to list an ape and I own 10 of them, I just send that one ape to this smart contract. And there's nothing that's ever done with the rest of my tokens. And approvals typically, they ask for approval for the entire smart contract. And it even says that in MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using.
Right.
Like, just so you know, you're giving approval for all of these tokens in your wallet. And so that's one of the specific differences when you're talking about NFTs for sure. And also that it's, well, let's go to, did that kind of answer your question between what Classic said as well as what I mentioned?
Yeah, all that makes sense. And I guess, like the advantages there is you're saying, okay, collection versus token specific, right? But fundamentally, there's still like a trust point to where, okay, hey, like, I'm trusting these smart contracts or these marketplaces, or I'm trusting, kind of the escrow. And like the attack vector for me in my mind, it's still the same. Like there's social engineering or there's scammers trying to come after you to where regardless if it's trying to manipulate the approvals, well, I'm pretty much going to go ahead and try to manipulate you going to a trusted escrow or other kind of smart contract in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's centralization all over the place, right? It's just a matter of, okay, what's the balance here, right?
You're absolutely correct. And I really, before any one of the Motor6 community calls me, you are absolutely correct, sir. Scammers and phishing attacks are prominent on Ethereum. Well, especially in Ethereum, it's one of the largest. It is the largest smart contract-based chain. And well, obviously we have scammers on Motor6. I deal with them every day. I am moderating numerous Telegram groups, and we have almost every day some people that say, some admin, some support DM'd me privately, and he asked me to go to this website and enter my seed phrase to get a free ETH. And we are like, no, that's not us. It's an impersonator. Do not trust him. We never DM first. Of course, there are phishing attacks on Motor6 or related to Motor6. It's not really on the network. But the thing is, you can't have perfect security. I think everyone who has some good knowledge about security, and I think I can call myself that, there is no such thing as 100% security.
Absolutely.
Of course, you cannot achieve 100% security, but what you can do is eliminate attack vectors. You can eliminate or at least reduce certain attack vectors that are, of course, able to be eliminated. And while you can't achieve 100% security, you can do everything in your power to make it as secure as possible. And that is why we are discussing, does the EVM have a future? This is hard to discuss, of course, but if we're talking strictly about security, and we see that absolutely nothing has been done in the last years to improve the security of the EVM inherently. And yes, I am including the time-based approvals here because I don't count it really as that big of an improvement, especially because I'm just waiting for someone to get drained despite the time-based approvals. And the inherent issue of approvals is still there. Nothing has been done in the last years to improve the EVM security. And again, security is all about security. The core principle of security is, one, make users use it because it's simple to use and they understand it. Literally, the first thing you learn in university about security is if it's not simple to use and not understandable to use, the users will either not use it or they will try everything in their power to bypass it. Literally, that's one of the first things you learn in university about security. And the other thing is that you cannot have 100% security, but you can eliminate a lot of attack vectors and make it as secure as possible. And for me, the EVM has not done that.
Oh, I agree. And I think every chain has its own advantages, pros, cons, and kind of inherent risk because there's just so many different attack vectors to it all. And, I think, and I appreciate y'all hosting this, but I think just the one thing my ask is, I just see a lot of Multiverse S is way more secure. EVM is flawed. Like you're fucked. Like you're gonna lose all your shit more so than, hey, this is why Multiverse does this. Like the education part, right? I think the guy that was speaking earlier in the call, he said, education isn't scalable. Absolutely, it is. we went from having beans and rice that we traded with to notes to dollar bills to debit and credit cards, which was the first digitization of a lot of things, right? And people didn't understand that. I mean, half of the, or I would say more than half of the scams that I see in Web3 come from Web2, right? So, we're so deep in this, and there's still Web2 scams going on every single day that bleed into this kind of stuff, right?
So yeah,
So
where the issue is with what he was saying, and to your point too, is that I agree it's not scalable, because even look at Web 2 right now. And how many times do people have to be told not to click a link in an email, or not to give their credit card number over the phone to some random person? But it happens every single day, and it will continue to happen every single day, no matter how much we continue to preach this to people. And in Web 3, the problem is that the issues are much more severe. And I've said this in a post before. If I click an email or link in an email, worst case scenario, probably I download a virus, someone takes over my computer, maybe my social security number is lost, my credit card number, charges get run up on my credit card. I make a couple phone calls, a couple headaches later, everything is fixed. Now in Web 3, something like that happens, potentially your entire net worth is gone. So we can't go into Web 3 with the same mindset as we are with Web 2. And there are, without a doubt, better ways to protect people. Obviously, education is always going to be key, but we cannot focus on flaws and let them continue. And that's why I kind of wanted to get back to your question that you presented before as well, on what are the real benefits here. We kind of talked about NFTs, and sorry, those with your hands raised, I appreciate you being patient. We'll definitely get to you. We talked about.
I mean, if you think you can add to the current discussion, maybe you can just also enable your microphone. I think we can do an open discussion. I think, yeah.
So yeah, we covered NFTs and kind of how the difference there functions with the mass approval versus single, but then also where probably one of the bigger benefits comes in is just your everyday interactions. If I want to make a swap on a site, there is no sending to a smart contract or intermediate that I have to trust at all. It's just a swap, because I'm swapping two actual tokens for one another. Whereas on Ethereum EVM based chains, I'm talking to a smart contract saying, I give you permission to do this. The other guy, if there's another guy, is giving permission to do this. And then the smart contracts do whatever they do. But those can both have flaws in them. So there's no approval when it comes to, in any scenario on these native asset chains, when you're just doing basic transactions. So that's why Classic pointed out that the benefits may not show as much in NFTs, even though they are there. They show far more in your daily typical transactions of just sending crypto or swapping and doing whatever else you do in the space, playing a game, whatever it may be. You don't have to give that game access to your wallet in order to take funds to do a transaction, to update the game. It's just ready to go. It's there. So that's part of the benefits. We just lost NFT Drew. But let's go ahead and send it to Avant. You've had your hand up for quite some time. Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, no problems. Thank you for having me. Hi to everyone. See a few familiar faces or avatars there. So, I just like to go back to one of the original question when I joined was from Crypto Shields around the difference between native assets and some of the other topics as well. So, I'll probably speak from one of the other native asset platforms, which is Radix, and how they approach it, and it may be slightly different for other platforms that have native assets. But speaking from the Radix perspective, but when the difference, and then what Robert mentioned is that ETH is the only true native asset on Ethereum, on Radix, and like others that all tokens are native assets. The key difference is that they're defined as resources at the protocol level, whereas on Ethereum, the ERC20, 721, etc., they're all the assets are defined in bespoke smart contract logic, which is within a smart contract that is then hosted within on the network. So the layer that assets are defined is a lot lower in the stack, in the technical stack. So when you create a token, you actually there's a special sort of function at the protocol level that creates these native resources. Okay, and all those tokens live basically in accounts or inside vaults within accounts that are controlled by a key. And then how that's kind of how transferring native assets compares to the ERC20 EVM route is that on ERC20 everyone's balances and how many tokens they have defined with is basically effectively like an Excel spreadsheet within the smart contract. Okay, so you have the ERC20 token, and then there's a massive spreadsheet that says, right, these are all the accounts, and these are all the balances against these accounts. And what happens is when you go to do a transaction, you are giving approval to that smart contract to say, hey, I give you permission to update the balance of my account, either removing tokens or adding tokens. Whereas in a native asset sense, you are actually saying, okay, so take only these specific resources or tokens from my account for this transaction. And it's kind of similar to the wallet analogy where I'm at a counter, I want to buy a product. The vendor says, oh, I need $5 for that transaction. So you pull out $5 from your wallet, you hand the $5 to the vendor, and they do the transaction and give you back the change, etc. In the EVM world, this is we need to do a transaction, but you need to give basically you hand over your whole wallet. I'll take out the coins and notes that I need, and then I'll give you back the wallet at the end of it. And that may be, if it's an infinite approval, they may keep hold of your wallet for indefinite amount of time, and you're sort of trusting that the vendor won't ever remove additional tokens from your account, or actually give your wallet back at some point. And then on the escrow comment, so similar kind of thing. If you are submitting or listing an NFT or an asset, you are literally just taking that asset out of your wallet. Doesn't matter if it's a single NFT in a larger collection you own. You are just taking that specific asset, passing it to the DApp, and then when the transaction you sell it or buy it or whatever, you get the required assets back into your wallet. And lastly, because you're talking about, when we talk about an asset-oriented approach, what you're doing is all the transactions can be described in terms of the movement of assets instead of messages. So on the EVM world, how tokens are moved about is you are sending a message to a smart contract. So it's all right. Okay, you hear this message. Please take these tokens from my wallet and give them to this smart contract. Within the asset-oriented approach, you're actually effectively moving. So take these resources, these practically, theoretically physical resources, take them from my account and the vault in my account, take them out, put them on the counter, do the trade, and then pass them over to the other second or third party's wallet. So it's actually similar to I think what you mentioned earlier was it's like a physical taking money out of your wallet, putting it into another wallet, and only taking out what you actually need for that transaction. So yeah, that sort of covers off on the kind of the key points on the Radix approach.
Yeah, and that's very similar to how a lot of these native asset or asset-oriented chains work, for sure. One quick thing I'll add to that too, that's not even security related too, but a major benefit of these asset-oriented tokens is in efficiency. When every token is a native asset, it is much more efficient to use and interact with. And an example is so on Ethereum, again, as Robert said, Ethereum is the native asset on Ethereum. If I were to just send you one ETH, I did the math and I looked at all this recently. The gas in order to do so is around 21,000 units of gas in order to just send ETH back and forth to one person, to one wallet. And it might help to know that there's 30 million gas in a block that can be possible. That's like kind of how much room the block has. Now, if you are interacting with a DEX such as Uniswap, and say I want to swap Ethereum for any other token, USDC, I have to give approval for my Ethereum, and then I have to issue the transaction for the swap. The gas that is required in order to do those two things is around 180 to 190,000 gas. So it's over 7 times the gas required. So it's far less efficient too. Like I said, it has nothing to do with security, but it's something else that I wanted to point out regarding the efficiency of native assets versus non-native or smart contract-based assets. Blockchain Hashira, you've been super patient. Go ahead. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're still there. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just one more point, I guess, on the for the education and the, I guess, more preventative measures that we have within sort of the Ethereum ecosystem. Where there's obviously a lot of proactive things of trying to very reactive, I guess, security around like third-party extensions which try to protect. You've got the revoke approval website, etc. Unfortunately, a lot of those things are sort of cat and mouse with, the wallet guards and wallet protectors are trying to prevent or trying to block phishing sites and malicious signatures. But there seems to be sort of a kind of continual cat and mouse where the scammers and the exploiters will find a way around the latest protection, and it also plays on a lot of people's sort of fears that you get tweets that said, "Oh, you must revoke this. Go to revoke and revoke.cash or revoke your approvals now because there's been an exploit on X-Chain or whatever." And people will do that, but not realizing they're going to a malicious revoke site. Now, granting approval for native assets is not a thing. It doesn't actually exist. So you're not granting. You're reducing attack vector and sort of the fear that people have with being exploited or drained by taking out the risk of people going to like a revoke site or thinking it's the real site when it's actually a malicious site. So there's a lot less risk involved with people sort of getting confused with what actions they need to take with regards to like token approvals.
Yeah. So Blockchain Hashira, send it over to you, and then Crypto Shields, you got your hand up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, most of the questions I want to ask has been asked by Crypto Shields and NFT Drew. By the way, so I wanted to talk about the way the contracts work in Multiverse X, like more like the escrow kind of way. But since the old way of transacting in the Multiverse X works more like the escrow. It's kind of like betray the definition of decentralization. Firstly, and also want to talk about the Guardian feature that Multiverse X has. Isn't that kind of similar to multi-sig wallets? And the only difference I could point out is that Guardian uses the TCS, which is which is more easier for people use for new users to use.
I'm not sure I understood the first question of yours correctly, because unfortunately you have some heavy background noises, but I can definitely answer the second question. Basically, there are two types of guardians. There is the invisible guardian and as you said, the TCS guardian, the trusted cosigner guardian. And yes, they definitely have heavy similarities with a multi-signature. In fact, if you were to dumb it down to what is the absolute basis of this, yes, it is a multi-signature. It's just very convenient to use. That's the main advantage of the guardians. and it doesn't require you to actually set up a multi-signature account or multi-signature smart contract. You can do it straight from your wallet. What many have been talking about, I think in last year, was account abstraction on Ethereum and on other chains. And basically we have had exactly that since mainnet, and especially now with the Guardians even more so. You can choose what type of Guardian you want to use, and then you can just use it. The trusted cosigner, either you set it up yourself, you can set up your very own trusted cosigner. The code for it is public, and I think there is even documentation. You can set up your own trusted cosigner, or you can just use the invisible guardian. Both work in the very, if you dump it down to the absolute, dumbest level, then yes, it's just a multisig. Oh, okay. Because for the trusted cosigner guardian, you have another account that will actually cosign, multi-sign your transactions after you have proven to that account, to the trusted cosigner, using a two-factor authentication, that you actually possess the required two-factor authentication code. So you have proven that you are you with this second factor. The invisible guardian works a bit similarly, except that you don't need a trusted cosigner account on the blockchain, because the second public key basically has been embedded into your account on the chain. And so if you basically now have two private keys. You have the actual private key of your account, and you have a second private key for your for co-signing your transactions. So if you give away your seed phrase, which you can clearly see in X portal, nothing can happen because the scammer does not know the invisible guardian private key. And in fact, you don't really see it either. It has been designed in a way so you can back it up. You can back it up, of course, but you can't actually see it, and this makes it quite foolproof for not very knowledgeable users. Because even if the scammer says, "Give me your private guardian key," how is he going to do it? He literally can't share it. And if he is going to share the backup, what is he going to do with the backup? The backup is encrypted. Good luck. I mean, of course, he could try to decrypt it, but that's another story. And I think you understand why that's another story. What I also wanted to say earlier, but unfortunately, NFT Drew, I think was his name. He unfortunately left.
He's coming back. I guess he got rugged, but he's coming back, I hear.
He got rugged. Okay. What I also wanted to say is, we, of course, I see every day as two things, okay? I see people on the Modulus X Telegram chat that say, "Hey, I have received this weird token in my wallet. Is it safe?" That's what they ask. They just ask, "Is it safe?" And what am I going to reply? What am I going to reply? Every time I usually assume they ask me if this is a rug pull or a scam or something. But I have realized actually, by talking to the users, of course, I've realized that they think they could lose money, they could lose the stuff in their wallet if they interact with the token. These are users that come from Ethereum or any other EVM chain, and they think they are about to lose everything because they ask in the chats if it's safe to interact with the token. Same thing if they receive NFTs. I see it almost every day. They send a screenshot into the Telegram chat. "Hey, I've received this NFT. Is it safe? Is it a scam?" And what they're actually asking is, can they send it away? Can they burn it without losing everything? And yes, they can, but they are asking that because they don't even know that Modulus X has native assets. And of course, maybe that's a marketing problem, but obviously it also shows that for those users, they are fearful, they are very fearful, and they don't even want to do anything before asking someone else who is hopefully more knowledgeable than them if they can do anything wrong in this regard. How are we going to reach 1 billion people if you can lose everything on Ethereum? And on Motors X you can't, but people still ask, hey, is it safe to interact with this token? Is it safe to interact with this NFT that I've received? Is it a scam? And yes, it is safe. We have to answer this question probably every day. And the other thing is regarding, once again, people who DM actual users on Telegram and impersonate staff and admins. Yeah, of course, on Motors X, you can still get phished. Of course, yeah. I mean, we have not eliminated the issue of social engineering. I think it's impossible to eliminate the issue of social engineering, but we have definitely reduced the issue of social engineering. And I have evidence, because before the guardians were in place, we had many users lose their money because they have shared their secrets. And yeah, our X portal has multiple warnings in place that when you actually display the seed phrase, it warns you like 7 or 8 times to not share the seed phrase. It even makes you go type an entire sentence on your phone that you will not share the seed phrase, and users still do it. But this issue has been a lot less recently, especially thanks to the Guardians, because users share their seed phrase, but then the scammer can't do anything with it. And this has been very evident because people DM us and say, hey, someone is trying to deactivate my Guardian. Why? Then I ask him, have you shared your seed phrase? They say, yes, I have. Then I say, good, the Guardian just protected all your money and you can move the money away. And in fact, a lot of people don't know that you can reset the Guardian deactivation. So basically, if the scammer is trying to deactivate the Guardian, you can just click a button, sign a transaction, and then the deactivation phase will be reset. So there is no more deactivation. Of course, the scammer can try again, but the timer will start from 20 days every time, again and again. And you can just reset it again and again. And if you need 100 days for some reason to move out your money, because, I don't know, you have some vested tokens and you cannot move them, then just reset the Guardian and you can move the money away later. Anyways, we have saved a lot of people's money with the Guardians. I can definitely say that personally, since I moderated Telegram groups, and those people were very happy to have activated the Guardian. And even more so, the people who did not activate the Guardians are very, well, mad at themselves that they did not activate the Guardian. I have some people, for example, in the German group that recently got phished, that got scammed by impersonators, and they knew about the Guardian, but they were just, too lazy to activate it. And of course, we can put more education here, and of course, Motors X does not solve the social engineering issue. But as I said earlier, you can either completely mitigate issues and attack vectors, or you can at least reduce it. And I think we have reduced it quite a lot, because scamming the average Motors X user is probably now the most complex and difficult scam in all of crypto. Try to scam any crypto user, you will probably have the most issues on average on Motors X. And I think that's a statement.
You bring up a great point that I wanted to echo too, and that's with interacting with tokens. And then I'll send it over to you, Shira. But that, again, when you're interacting with a smart contract based asset, you're interacting obviously with a smart contract. So we've seen it all the time where someone maybe sends you an NFT, and that NFT is part of a smart contract. If you interact with it on Ethereum, meaning you try and list it or you try and burn it or you do anything with it, if you do a transaction with that smart contract, you could be giving that smart contract permissions to do who knows what else. And that's why people preach that you shouldn't touch tokens that just get airdropped to you or NFTs that get airdropped to you, because we've seen it time and time again. Someone just tries to burn an NFT or list it on the marketplace thinking, hey, I got this free NFT, I'm just going to go ahead and list it. Well, again, when you click submit for that transaction in order to list it, you're giving that contract that the NFT is part of permission to do who knows what and potentially drain your wallet. That is not something that is possible when you're dealing with an asset-oriented structure. when you're dealing with individual tokens. So that's why Classic was pointing out that there's never any risk of interacting with a token because a token can't do anything to you. It's not a smart contract. You can burn it, you can send it, you can just whatever you want to do with it. There's no risk of ever interacting with a token. So that was a great point. Thanks for bringing that up, Classic. Shira, yeah, sorry, you've had your hand up. Go ahead. Oh.
Okay. Apart from the fact that you guys explained how the marketplace works, you know, because if you like remove the way approvers work and like just like exchange it with the way you guys put it, the Xcode type. So like in my they are always like subjectable to social engineering. And apart from that, you guys said the marketplaces and the smart contracts on the multiverse X, they've been audited and like trusted by the multiverse X itself. So, but like auditing is not like a final process. Like it's a continuous process. No matter how hard it is to like find the threat, like there's still gonna be some particular bugs. There's still gonna be some particular vulnerabilities in the smart contract. So even like assigning your NFTs to the marketplace and like it's actually like finds a fault in future, the NFTs at risk, your tokens are at risk. And like, what do you guys think about that?
So that's actually a great question, and I really wish Robert was still here for this because he would be able to speak to this so much more. But when writing contracts in Rust, they're far more not readable but auditable, easier to be audited and prove this exactly what's going to happen. Other than and then in Solidity EVM, there's no way to ever test for every possible circumstance, which is why auditing is great. You're right. It helps for sure, but there's always that 0.001% chance of someone figuring something out or doing something that you didn't predict. And that's what we see every single day with reentrancy attacks or various other things. And that's one of the benefits of working in either Rust or a WASM-based infrastructure or Move. What is written is it can be audited so much more easily and proven. This is what's going to happen and nothing else can happen. And like I said, Robert would be able to speak to this so much better than I could. Maybe you could, Classic, or something Rad even, if there's anything I'm missing.
I'm not sure I've understood the question. Actually, if you could repeat that, DB, for me.
I think he's asking how there's always going to be a risk with smart contract. That's true. You can't avoid that. But how can you, I guess, prove that they're more secure? And that's where I was pointing to how Rust-based smart contracts are much easier to audit and verify that this is what's going to happen versus EVM and Solidity smart contracts. Is that correct, Hashira? Is that kind of what you were asking?
I think that's what I understood as well. And if I could just add real quick, I'm still not the best person to be speaking about Rust. I agree Robert would be much better about this. But I think a lot of this discussion that we've had today, which is a great discussion, by the way, and there's not as much need for me to talk when so many experts are talking about it up here. And thanks everyone for coming as well. Like and retweet so that we can get as many people to listen to this as possible. Because it's very interesting. I mean, it's technical, but it is very interesting. Rust is also an object-oriented language, whereas Solidity is not. And one of the reasons why that is very important is because it includes specificity for what's going to be happening when you're creating the smart contracts. It leaves less room for vulnerabilities, and it also has a much better memory safety mechanism that's basically just embedded in the language itself. And I noticed as well earlier, Dave, you were mentioning that the transaction fees are much cheaper and the gas fees and everything like that. One of the reasons that is because it is a Rust-based smart contract as well. Rust is very concise, efficient. It runs very fast, and it's another reason why I think security is very important for the blockchain space. So I think it's great that we've come into Rust now, because Rust is definitely one of the reasons why some of these other chains are more secure than what EVM is running on as well.
Yeah, classic. Anything you wanted to add to that?
I just want to add that not only is Rust quite nice, the Space VM, which is the Modulus X virtual machine, it has been recently rebranded or actually branded to Space VM, not rebranded because previously it didn't really have a brand at all. Space VM is actually quite nice because there is no such thing as a re-intrinsic attack. There are no re-intrinsic attacks. There are no buffer overflows or anything like that. You cannot have that here. And of course, you can have smart contracts with vulnerabilities. Of course, you can have that. But there are a lot of things that aren't possible on Multiverse X smart contracts, on Space VM smart contracts, that really aren't possible. I've seen a long time ago, I don't remember from who, I've seen a long time ago a nice tweet. I think maybe it even was from Robert, maybe it was from Robert there, that kind of explained why it is so difficult to build a decent smart contract on Ethereum. And the issue is, on Ethereum, tokens are smart contracts. And if you are going to build, for example, a decentralized exchange with a simple swap, okay, then you have to think of what the token could do. What could the token do if you call the transfer function after the token, of course, has been approved to your DEX? What could the token try to do? Could the token try to do something to your smart contract, to the funds in the pool? The token has code of its own, and the smart contract, the DEX, the swap has to access the smart contract of the token. The DEX has to call the function of the token and possibly execute malicious code. And that's quite a challenge to resolve. You have to resolve it for all tokens. You can't just build one solution. You have to build a solution that works for all possible attack vectors that come from custom tokens. And you just don't have to worry about that on Multiverse X as a developer. On Multiverse X, all tokens are equal for you to interact with, and you don't have to worry that a token might be able to execute a weird function that you did not even write, that the token brought with itself, and execute it. But it's just not there. Of course, again, you can have vulnerabilities on Multiverse X. You can have vulnerabilities on Multiverse X smart contracts. You can have them, especially if you're not a very good developer. But the very basis, the very basis of Multiverse X smart contracts is already more secure than what you get on other networks, just because of the native tokens, just because of native NFTs, native assets, because of a more secure and well thought through VM that has no re-entrancy stuff or overflow buffers or anything like that. You don't have that here. And what I've also seen frequently was, is Multiverse X is not battle tested. And I think, there is one ounce of truth to this. You can say that we don't have had that many scammers try to attack users because we are not that important yet. But there is one thing that is really just bullshit because about the statement, because native assets will remain native assets with all their properties they already have. The Space VM is formally verified and audited. The actual protocol itself is formally verified and audited by over 10 different companies, as even said by Robert Sasso himself. There is no thing that will change about these things if we get more scammers on our network. Maybe they get more creative and try to do different social engineering attacks, sure. But they will not change the things that are baked into the protocol that are already here. They are the way they are already. More battle testing will not change that. Again, the only thing that will really change probably is different social engineering attacks, different phishing attacks, more creativity from the scammer side. but the tokens, the protocol, the smart contracts, they are the way they are, and in fact have been battle tested, have been audited, have been formally verified. The guardians have been publicly battle tested and audited and formally verified, and now the community has started a second public test of the guardians, as we have just discussed and promoted with the Eagle heist. They have just tweeted the 24 words. If anyone here has some free time and wants to get, I think, $4,000, then go to the tweet. It is pinned here in the space. Insert the 24 words and try to send anything away. Good luck. I wish you good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention too, while we're talking about this, that this also encapsulates tokens on Cardano and Algorand and Sui, Aptos, Radix, and quite a few other chains as well. This isn't just Multiverse X. I'm sure I'm missing others as well that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but there's quite a few chains that utilize this native assets or asset-oriented structure. Actually, the SUIs and Aptos is slightly different. They're object-oriented, but we're not going to get into any of that because it still functions in a similar manner. Did all that answer your question, Hashira?
And I also want to give a short shout out. Yep, shout out to, of course, Cardano and Algorand for having native assets. It's very nice.
Yeah, for sure. Hashira, all good? Any other questions or follow-ups from that? If not, Crypto Shields, anything else?
Fudge, can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. For the record, I just tried the heist. I could not do anything. Since I'm outside, I'm going to keep trying. The question was regarding the Guardian, though. Is it wallet-based only, or is it an actual on-chain 2FA? What happens, because so far we've been talking about everything, and the only wallet that comes into conversation is Exportal. Can any of these tokens be in any other wallets, like a Ledger, like a Trezor, like any other wallets? And can the Guardian still be activated and protect these assets?
Yes, of course. The Guardian, when the first public battle, my God, sorry, my English is not the best. When the first public battle test was conducted for the Guardians, run by the Multiverse X Foundation with multiple tens of thousands of dollars in prizes, you could also import the seed phrase into your ledger and try to send it there. And you can do that too. If you have a ledger at home, please download the Multiverse X app onto the ledger, import of course, maybe the other way around, first import the seed phrase, then download the app and try to send anything away. And yes, you can activate and use the Guardian on the ledger. The simplest user interface for that is just to go to the web wallet, connect the ledger, and you can enable the Guardian there, and everything is fine. And of course, you may. I think I understand your question because I've seen your tweet right now. I think your question is, why doesn't it really let me log into the wallet on Exportal? Well, Exportal, of course, has the you could say feature. It doesn't even let you log into the wallet because it sees that it's Guardian protected. I mean, even if it would let you log in, you couldn't do anything. So there's no point in Exportal letting you log in at all. If you want to really try it out and bypass Exportal here, you can go to the ledger. You can try to import it into the ledger and do anything there. You can use the web browser wallet. You can use the Opera wallet. You can use any other wallet out there. There are many wallets supporting Multiverse X. You can use the web wallet, which is probably the easiest way because you don't even need a program. You just go to the website. You can enter the 24 words on the website, on the wallets.multiversex.com, but you could probably even enter it into a scam website. It wouldn't matter, but you wouldn't get logged in, of course. And after you have entered the 24 words, on the Multiverse X wallet website, you get a key store file, and by uploading the key store file, you can access the wallet. This is, of course, officially not recommended to do because users are bad at handling files. But for our case, it's very much a good idea to do this instead. And just enter the 24 words on the website, upload the wallet file, and try to send anything away. That's it. And to answer your question with the final statement, yes, it is on chain. The private key needed to co-sign the transaction is actually on the chain. If you use the Invisible Guardian, it's 100% on chain because the network has, for your specific account, stored two public keys. The one public key is your address. The other public key is the public key used to verify the Guardian signature. The other Guardian, the normal Guardian, the one with the trusted cosigner, is like 99% on chain. The only off-chain part is where you go to the trusted cosigner, give him the two-factor code and say, hey, yes, this is me, and now go cosign my transaction, please. And the only off-chain part here is the fact that you send the code to the trusted cosigner, and if the code is valid, if the trusted cosigner says, yeah, that code is the same code I have generated right now, then it will go ahead and co-sign your transaction. The actual Guardian stuff, again, here is the same. The account of the trusted cosigner will go ahead and co-sign the transaction. The transaction, how transactions work, have been changed to work like this, and the accounts themselves have been adapted to enable the Guardians to be able to store the public key of the Guardian, to handle the different states a Guardian can be in, because when you first create the Guardian, you have to wait 20 days before it activates and so forth. This is all 100% on-chain. There is no bit that is wallet-based. This is 100% on-chain, and this is what makes it so strong. Before Guardians launched on the network, I've seen some users who said something along the lines of, why do we need Guardians? We already have fingerprint verification in Exportal. We already have the 4-digit code in Exportal. Why do we need Guardians? We already have two-factor. It's a bit hard to explain it to newbies and not so knowledgeable people, because for them, of course, it looks like two-factor, but it is not two-factor. It is just a wallet protection. If you hand your phone to someone, then they can't really do anything with Exportal because they don't have your thumb, they don't have your 4-digit code. But if someone has your seed phrase, they can very well steal all your money and send away money, but not if there is on-chain two-factor authentication, not if there is an on-chain Guardian. And yes, it's on-chain. If you want to disagree with me that it's not on-chain, of course, that's fine, but I think it will be hard to disprove.
No, it's cool, Dory. I won't go and disagree with you. I'm just going to try to break it from other wallets. Like you told me, it can be done from multiple wallets. And thank you for the answer. It's honestly, I really like this specific part of the tech, because the way all of this started for me personally, coming into crypto about 4 or 5 years ago, is because I entered my seed phrase on one of those phishing websites. I was social engineered, knowing that social engineering is technically the biggest factor of like people losing their funds in Web 2 and Web 3. This is how I lost my first, I think at least like $5,000-$6,000 back then. And if I had something like Guardian on Atomic Wallet, it would have been amazing. But I don't know if the gentleman from Radix is still there, because earlier he said something about us people from the security community playing cat and mouse with all the apps like the Wallet Guards and Pocket Universe and Revoke.cash. And that will lead me to another question, because I know we had a lot of exchanges between me and DB Crypto about security on EVM versus Multiverse X and everything. But knowing everything that we know now, most of the funds, most of the project, most of the money is on EVM, is on Ethereum chain, it's on it's on Ethereum. So we can only educate the users about how to protect their assets. And yes, tools like Wallet Guard, tools like Pocket Universe, tools like Revolt.catch are like lifesavers for a lot of people, you know. And platforms like Brewing DAO, which I'm
I think you're breaking up, or at least you are for me.
Yeah, I can't hear anything else as well.
Yeah, you still there, Crypto Shields?
Multiverse X or Radix or any other chains, we know it will not happen like tomorrow. It will not happen like a year from now. It may not even happen 5 years from now because everything takes time in this space. So how do you guys see that change happening on which time frame, or do you even have the optics like where you can bring this tech that you have? And
We lost you again, Shields. I think either you're in a bad connection area now, or something's going on.
oh shoot, man! What was the last thing you heard?
I think you were getting to kind of your point. How can we solve this or figure out a better way forward for people? Correct?
Yes, something like that. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So social engineering, you're right, it's a big one, obviously, and it's something that you can never solve for, and you could educate people. And I agree, this is one of the big things. I was not aware of if it is the largest, and that actually surprises me if that's the case. I would think the largest form of money lost comes from clicking links and everything. Daily I see someone's Twitter account hacked or whatever, and the scammer puts up a link, says here's a free airdrop, and thousands of people rush to it, click, do this, blah blah blah, and hundreds of thousands, millions are lost. And that happens on a daily basis almost. So I'd be surprised if it was actually social engineering that was the number one cause for loss. I'd say the easiest way forward, in my opinion, is there's really only one thing that needs to be educated in that case, and that's don't share your fucking seed phrase. And seed phrase, just don't do it. And sure, there's all this other stuff that we can educate people on, and from revoking and installing this tool and that tool and this, but that's where I start to have an issue with a lot of this stuff, because that is where we are never going to succeed. Just like we've never succeeded in Web 2, convincing people to not do this and not do this, because they still give out their credit card numbers over the phone, or they still click links and emails. You'll never be able to win that battle. That's why the battle has to begin with better primitives and better protection for the users in that front. And then we can educate them on how to take it to another level. And that's the important part that I really wanted to cover in this space, because there are definitely things that people need to know, but they also need to be using better security platforms. And damn, we just lost him. He'll be back. I think he probably just got rugged again. And Cyan, thanks for joining us. I see you got your hand up. I'll get to you in just a second there. I had something I wanted to add to this too. Like all the speakers here have mentioned, again, there is no 100% foolproof method, period. There probably never will be. And I don't think that's what anyone is saying on the panel here, but there are, without a doubt, better and more secure methods or protocols. So that's where we can add education on top of that to really improve the entire space. And that's kind of where I wanted to not steer this conversation, but make sure people grasp. Yes, go ahead and educate them on not sending a seed phrase or doing this, but don't forget the other part about this is what's wrong with Ethereum, and maybe you should continue or consider moving away, because this isn't going to be fixed. And I'm telling you that now. ERC contracts or tokens will not be fixed unless they move to a asset-oriented structure, which is not going to happen. It's just, I don't think it's feasible for Ethereum or any EVM compatible chain at this point. But sorry, that was me ranting. Cyan, thanks for joining us. I know we went back and forth too, so I'll give you the floor.
Well, GM, everyone. So, firstly, I appreciate you leading off with our exchanges in comment sections. I think I think honestly, what drug me, to your attention, what brought you to my attention was the Web 2 versus Web 3 breaches. And I know we've been talking about a lot of things that are foolproof, and you actually just really helped make a very good point. I'm going to bring up antivirus, just like you said. Those they keep up with evolving 0 days banks. You can't ask the banking industry to change, right? They've evolved with credit cards or other digital forms of payment. So I'm to your point, us as security, we don't want to discuss changing Ethereum. For us, the best thing we can do is adapt like Web 2 did, which is try to create different detections and antivirus, try to create different things, try to warn people. And I think the only similarity, like you mentioned, is that we can't get people to stop being social engineered. That is probably the hardest thing to do. And I'm going to back everyone up by saying there is no 100% security, unfortunately. However, that is the only 100% security generally lies in trading ultimate privacy. And that's something that a lot of people are also forgetting about the transference of Web 2 into Web 3. I credited Tay with the tweets in the tweet that I put below the space, but I also tagged other security individuals to kind of make a very, very big point that LastPass was a Web 2 breach. That affected almost the entire community for a lot of reasons. Why? Because the people that actually listened and the people that were educated were still caught off by a tool or a company that they trusted to protect their data. And while LastPass may or may not have done everything they could to protect user data, like we mentioned earlier, someone said the rat race, that hackers and bad actors, scammers, they're pretty much always working. Us as the good side of crypto, we're working for the improvement and protection of the space. Those guys are working to do nothing but undo exactly what we're doing right now. So while I understand the comment section was very heated and passionate, I don't think for a second that any of us were 100% against each other. I just think that there were differing opinions. And for me, a major opinion that I've been combating is thinking that the Web 3 compromises are any worse. I want people to remember that Vitalik Buterin himself, myself, and 4 other people that I could tag discussed the method by which Vitalik was SIM swapped. And any losses that were incurred because his Twitter account was yanked, that is also something that I think people are missing. So that's where the social engineering aspect comes in. Social engineering and phishing are definitely going to be those top 2 threats. I consider someone sending you a DM that says mentyourfreeape.net and you clicking that link, you were social engineered. So anything you did by clicking that link still, in my opinion, falls under social engineering. So if we want to say social engineering and phishing, that's agreeable. If we just want to say social engineering, I think it comprises both of them. But I'm heading into a meeting. I didn't want to take up a bunch of you guys' time. I just wanted people to understand that the education is going to lie in conversations like this. And while I may not 100% agree with a lot of the takes that were given, I can at least yield to the fact that we understand there's not 100% security. And even like I put it in the comments, this does not mitigate the threat to social engineering, meaning that someone can still convince you that the click you're making is the right click. Now, someone can correct me on that, but I kind of want to hit it from that angle. Can I set up a phishing site against one of you that isn't using the the Guardian potentially and get you to click a link? If I guided you through it and actually convinced you, and if the answer is yes, then I think that we're still presented with some of the same problem. While I again want to applaud all the improvements and efficiencies that we've discussed, but I'm a hacker, so I'm only speaking to you from the sense that I'm going to go to my little lab. I'm going to go to my mother's basement. I'm going to put on a hoodie and I'm going to try and import a seed phrase from someone protected by a guardian. And you want to know what? It may not be me that figures it out, but I'm going to say if, when someone figures it out, I know that this will be the stage that everyone comes back to and says, hey, it's time to fix, it's time to improve. And we're all going to say, all right, let's do it. Somebody finally cracked it. Great. Now it's time to work harder. So that's all I've got for you guys. Just continue to understand that you are a target, and these things, they expand in so many ways. And I think that all of us are talented in our own ways. So that's just one of those things for me that, to understand. I'm a hacker. You guys are devs. So while I might read your code, I probably can't write your code as effectively as you can. So again, we're all here with different opinions and different experience. That's the only standpoint that I was coming from, because for us, we're doing users the best service we can by trying to educate them, but also protecting them. We're not making them feel like it's their fault because they won't switch to a smarter blockchain or a smarter protocol. For me, I'm not going to preach, hey, you should put your money there. I have to go where the money is flowing. I think someone said it earlier. All the the liquidity is right here on this side. So we have to protect people on where they're using things, as well as potentially try to get them to go further. So I'm going to land there and let you guys get back to some great content. But again, thanks for having me. Thanks for the exchange we've had. And it was very educational for me as well. But, I'm going to say the same things that I've said. Social engineering is a threat. And for us guys out here that are working with WildGuard, Pocket Universe, and all these other tools, we're doing the best we can.
No, I appreciate you joining, and great point. And I want to answer your question too before you leave real quick. Quick answer is no. So I remember the Vitalik hack. $700,000 was lost within, I think, the first hour of the hacker putting up the pinned tweet. And to answer your question again, no, that is not possible, because the wallets and the functions when you're dealing with tokens are deterministic, meaning maybe then no. Let me I won't take it that direction. When I click a link with my wallet, and say I'm interacting with a link on Twitter that someone put up, I know exactly what's going to happen. So if I click on this link and I go to sign a transaction that says send 100 EGLD to whatever, well, if I submit that, I'm a freaking moron, and that's on me, because it shows you exactly what's going to happen. There's no blind signing, there's no approval, there's no nothing. Whereas on Ethereum and EVM, there is, and you don't know what's going to happen all the time. It could be as little as submit this transaction for a free mint, and it shows you a 0.01 Matic cost, and you do it. Well, there's other hidden functions in that smart contract that give that hacker full control of your wallet or of that Matic token or whatever it may be. So that's another one of the big benefits of having an asset-based approach, because nothing can ever leave your wallet without you signing a transaction for it at that point. And you know exactly what's going to happen because it's deterministic. So does it completely solve social engineering? No. But again, if I click submit on a transaction that says send this random wallet 100 EGLD, oh, that's on me, and there's nothing that I can do. But that's all that's going to be sent is that 100 EGLD. That's doing so is not going to send 101 or 105 or 110 or give them access to anything else. You know exactly what's going to happen. Go ahead. I think you're on mute again.
Okay, there it goes. So in this case, there is no one-click sweeping away your whole wallet. I think that may have been the question that I was asking.
Correct. Yeah, because again, everything in your wallet is an individual token. There's no smart contracts, especially, and this gets even worse, unfortunately, with account abstraction on Ethereum. A lot of people push for account abstraction, understandably so, because it does provide more functionality for your wallet. But in a way, it's also worse because you're giving over entire control of your wallet to another entity. And that's where you see entire wallets drained because of this account abstraction that so many people are excited about. But it's a double-edged sword for sure on Ethereum. But something like that, no, it cannot happen on an asset-oriented base chain. Did that answer your question, hopefully? Cool. Let's see. Crypto Shields, anything else from you? Oh, H-Bar.
Hey, good to hear you guys talk. I really agree with you guys on the necessity of having object-based, tokens and everything like that. I'm pretty sure Hedera does. I mean, I think we're talking the same language that Hedera does too. I heard you mention earlier that EVM-based ones can't do that. I know Hedera isn't really EVM-based. It's like a side thing, and Hedera's services act more like a GPU, like doing things efficiently on the side. Is that what you meant? Did you basically understand that you're basically not classifying Hedera as an EVM chain.
Sorry, are you speaking to me or Cyan, who just actually dropped down?
Yeah, I think it was DB UDB who mentioned that.
Yeah, I don't think I brought up HBAR, but yes, your tokens, while they're slightly different how they operate, they do have a similar functionality, which is more secure than the smart contract based assets on Ethereum.
Yeah, cool. Because you had mentioned that because technically Hedera uses EVM, but I was just clarifying that you didn't believe that Hedera wasn't capable. I'm pretty sure I'd heard you before saying that, so just wanted to clarify.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, you guys have the HTC, the Hedera token contract, and that's how tokens are generated. And it's been a while since I've looked into it, but
yeah, and it's not actually a contract. They took the qualities of smart contracts that were necessary for tokens and individualized them all, and then they tokenized. They made everything about a token customizable without smart contracts, but still made them operable with smart contracts if people wish to do so. So that's why these companies are the whole misunderstanding about the BlackRock fund. It's still tokenized on Hedera, but they can do that because a bunch of things are KYC'd. The actual token has KYC functions, which keeps things like BlackRock's fund on Ethereum, where they sent Tornado Cash to the BlackRock fund, and ArcAx said we decided to be safer and go on Hedera because you can KYC things like that without smart contracts. That was another question I had. So with Multiverse X, are the tokens are items, but do they? So they don't have smart contracts involved with them. It kind of works in a similar way as Hedera.
Correct. Yes. If what you're thinking, I believe what you're asking. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Seems like the way to go.
Yeah, it offers so much more protection for the user, and that's the biggest thing that I at least wanted to get across to everyone in this space. That there's so much we can do, and the space is really, really lacking. Everyone's overlooking security. Not everyone, definitely not the people in the space, but in general, the space is overlooking it, and that's not deniable if you look at how much is being lost and drained on a daily basis. It's a shame. Just last night, 1.6 million from another wallet from a permit function, a signing of something that the guy didn't realize, and poof, 1.6 million in ETH gone. And it happens every single day, unfortunately. And it kind of gets brushed under the rug because at this point, it's another day in crypto, which is crazy to think of. But here we are. And thankfully, there's a lot of people that are trying to move the space forward. I think we could all work together in a better way to really push it forward, too. Go ahead, Matt.
Excuse me. Thanks, Dave. I just wanted to say, I didn't know how long we're going. I wanted to take the chance to just say that this was really cool to come together like this and just understand better where everybody's coming from, those perspectives, and meet the humans behind the PFP is always important in this space, in my opinion. And just really thought it was great. I tossed out a bunch of follows here, to try to connect, because we need to keep focusing on security and find good, cool ways to support each other on these multiple initiatives, because everyone's doing the right things here. So thank you to everybody. And then just to circle back around, we talked about Guardian a lot today, which is near and dear to my heart with the eGold heist. And, how cool is this? We have seed words available right now. So, share it with friends, retweet it, get people in there to try to get those funds. Maybe somebody will get, I'm going to say lucky, and be able to do it and get them back to us, because it is community funded. And in this market, we're all kind of poor, LOL. But seriously, there's 10% finder's fee there for the white hats if you are successful, and ongoing conversations with the team that made this tech about how it can be even safer. I don't know what's going to be, fully possible, because it's not the everyday situation where you have some crazies like Drew and I in our community releasing keywords like this. But as we progress, we see that adoption, we start to see wallets with big money. Like it's been covered many times here, where there's a will, there's a way. When the money's there, they will come. So while this is what the Guardian looks like today, I do think that there's a road towards continuous improvement on making it even safer. And while we can't necessarily fully there was mention earlier about Vitalik saying that solving the trilemma was impossible. That guy's a million times smarter than me, but I can't help but push back on something like that, because over a long enough time frame of people, working and trying to solve, I know there's always going to be give and take, but also we're talking about definitions that aren't necessarily they're not finite. It's not like you can just measure and point and say, okay, that right there is, decentralized. I mean, I guess, you could relative to everything else. I guess what I'm saying is we're going to keep building, going to keep pushing, going to keep coming out with core shit. And I'm just really glad that everybody came into this group, and they're, good bro hugs and clearing up that. And Deebs, big shout out to you for opening the spaces. With an apology, I think that speaks to your character. Thanks, everyone.
I appreciate the chime in there and your sentiments there. Matt, thanks for joining us for sure. And yeah, hopefully this was a beneficial space for everyone. And again, it was recorded. I know some people couldn't make it. I think Boa, the penguin guy, wanted to be here, but he couldn't. He got an appointment. Yeah, just
It's Bo.
And then, yeah, we lost NFT Drew. So he could listen to, I think we might have got into his question after he dropped. But anything else from you, Shields or Hashira, since you guys, any other questions? Anything we didn't answer, or concerns or whatnot?
Man, it was a great space. Honestly, I had so many more questions. I wish Robert was still around, because is he the lead engineer from Multiverse X?
He's one of the core devs who is in charge of the VM and maybe the token as well, the ESDT.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you guys don't know what you're talking about, but definitely he was going into details in all those words and terms, and everything was really good. Man, thanks a lot. Thank you very much for having this space. I really appreciate it, and hopefully maybe next time we can have another one with Robert and maybe more people. Because it's always good to talk about security in the space for EVM chains or for new chains that people have no idea exist. I know that you guys have a very big community, and I was telling that to my security folks earlier, because you launched the space and you managed to have like more than 60 people. And this is one thing we always say: security is not sexy in this space. We try everything we can, but it seems like people don't care. They only care once they get drained. They only care once they get drained. Like that yesterday, that guy who lost 2.5 millions. First of all, what the hell are you doing with 2.5 millions in the wallet? That's beyond my anything I can conceive. But anyways, having another space like that, more spaces like that, will be definitely a great tool, a great thing for the space.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I'm very passionate about, for sure. And obviously, I do plenty of content on it. And part of the reason why I feel so strongly on it is because I truly believe 100% that the lack of focus on security in the Web3 space right now is delaying adoption and harming every single one of us. It's not just affecting the person that gets drained or is part of a reentrancy attack or whatever. It affects every single one of us because it's making this space almost look like a joke. And I think about it. Someone brand new enters the space. They don't know what they're doing. They've got a wallet. They buy an NFT. The next day, maybe they're hacked and they lose everything. Maybe it was only $100 or whatever. And it's not that big of a deal. But that person is now completely turned off from crypto and Web3. And they're probably also going to go tell all their friends and family too that crypto and Web3 is a scam. And that's why I'm so adamant about not only educating people on ways to avoid this, but on why we need to get away from Ethereum and EVM, because this is without a doubt delaying adoption for the entire space. The numbers that we see on a daily basis, and it's harming every single one of us. And I hope myself and others were able to kind of get across the message on the differences between the smart contract based assets and the asset oriented structure, because it's, again, there's nothing that is 100% foolproof, but it is without question more secure and much safer for the user in many, many ways. When you can provably show that all these attack vectors that happen on a daily basis are not possible, it kind of drives me nuts that we don't focus on that more and really start moving in that direction. And I get, you have to work with where people are at. That we have to do that. We have to educate them on how to be safer. But I think just as much so as doing that, we also have to educate them on why they maybe shouldn't be here, why they need to be looking in a different direction. And it's inevitable in my opinion. And it's a very, very unpopular opinion, but Ethereum is going to quickly move down the totem pole within the next 5 years, because there are so many issues with it that I do not believe will be able to be solved because of smart contract based assets. So that's my rant there.
Now you need to convince the devs. That's what I've been telling you. Like, we cannot change what the end users
Yep.
have. Like, that's what they offered. That's what they can use. Yeah, you have to convince the dev. You have to convince the projects. You have to convince, like, the investors. People who are actually pushing so much money on
Yep.
Ethereum.
And the thing is that will never happen as long as money is the number one focus in the entire space. And right now it is. For probably 99% of the people in the space, it's all about money, and not protecting their
Yep.
money, but making new money. So you're right. They are going to go where the quick buck is. The hot mint NFT or the hot meme coin or whatever, because it's all about money. And until that changes, which who knows when that's going to be, I think we're going to kind of stay in the same place. We could just continue to push new people, to better primitives. And thankfully, the Move community around Sui and Aptos is very, very strong. I love what they're doing to really push Move, because it's a very secure language and everything they're building. So it's bringing a lot of awareness from their side. Go ahead, HBAR.
Yeah, I think the way out is, I mean, I agree, money talks. And unfortunately on Ethereum, the only way to make money is through speculation, gambling, and MEV attacks, sandwich attacks and stuff. But another way money can talk is by allowing people to save or make money outside of speculation, gambling, and MEV attacks through the protocols. And so, yeah, I'd say, I'm not a developer, but I'm excited about where the space is going in creating real world utility that is really scalable, that really will save real businesses and real people real money. So yeah, that I like where it's going, and I agree. Eventually, Ethereum's going to die off because of its inadequacies, and the true utilizable, usable chains and truly secure ones will shine. So excited about that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And I want to say, I don't think Ethereum's ever going to die, honestly. I think there's always going to be a use case for it. There's clearly a lot of developers and use of it now, but I do agree that it's going to not quickly, but it's going to be overtaken, and it's going to lose position for sure. It is inevitable, because the big money, the truly big money that's going to be coming into the space at some point, is not going to take the risks that the degens that are here right now are willing to do. So I just wanted to add that. So let's kind of go around and get any closing thoughts from our panel here. Let's start off with Hashira. You got anything you wanted to add? Any questions, comments, anything? Appreciate you joining and coming on up to speak. If not, we could send it over to Matt.
I think I generally, said mine. Just I'm happy to be forming, these relationships and these bonds, and I hope that we all, keep in touch and just continue to keep pushing, innovating, communicating, because we can't go wrong if we keep doing that. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. H-Bar.
Not too much else to add. Just excited about the future and look forward to seeing where all this tech takes us.
Cool. Yeah, thanks again for joining us today. Crypto Shields.
Nah, me neither. Not too much else to ask, but thank you very much for having this space. Looking forward to seeing what this takes us, like Ishbar said earlier. And I don't know if there are any Ethereum, EVM users in the space, but security, last word, stay paranoid. Do not trust random people sending you random DMs. Stop. I know, like I said, no clicky, no clicky. You can click on links because we are in a web environment, so clicking on links is okay. But just be careful what you're clicking on, and just stay safe.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that message. And Rad, how about yourself? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank all the speakers for coming up. It is a very complicated topic, very technical topic, so I really appreciate everyone coming out. But it's an important topic, and I agree with Dave that these are useful discussions to be having. And although we like to do discussions a lot of the time through posts on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, sometimes people can misunderstand each other, and you don't necessarily know exactly what people are trying to get at. It's a lot of reading, so these discussions can really help. And it won't be the last time that we do it. We will be doing many more as well. We have done a few in the past as well. And if anyone else wants to suggest specific topics in security or anything like that, please reach out to us. We're always open. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. We do this twice a week. We normally do interviews with other projects, companies, people building in Web3, and big discussions. So we also started a monthly series recently where just over a week and a half ago, we had Cardano, Multiverse X, and Radix on talking about security as well, funny enough, but more of a high level security rather than the technical side of things. So check that out if you want as well. And I'll hand it off to Dave now. Thanks everyone for coming.
Awesome. Yeah. So, like you said, if you ever have any suggestions on things you want to discuss, we love covering the technical side of things, but also do interviews, talk with projects and cross chain. Obviously, a lot of us are heavily focused or ingrained in Multiverse X, but I don't consider myself a maxi. And I'm involved in many, many chains. And Brad's laughing because a lot of people still think I am. I know. Even though that is the majority of the content I do, but I still say I'm not a maxi. But anyways, so yeah, I will definitely do another space like this again because this was I love talking about this, and hopefully everyone else does too, and got a lot out of it. And yeah, hit us up if you have any other questions or topics, conversations you want to do, and we'll take it from there. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Have a great week.